founder of Smart Business Solutions, and I work with entrepreneurs and SMEs to help start, manage, and grow a business. You'll see on the left there, I've got a picture called the Anatomy of an Entrepreneur. And that is the reality for each and every one of us who call ourselves entrepreneurs. There's so many different things that we need to know and understand. And that is not just something that happens overnight, but it's a process as we move from being an individual working in a company and eventually start our own business and venture out along on our own entrepreneurial journey. And we need to develop our skills. So you'll see a whole lot of things that are touched on there. But just as a start, if you can just in the chat, maybe just give us your name, where you're from, your project that you have, whether you're in the ideation stage of your business or whether you've started out, and what you expect to get out of this webinar. If you can just put that in the chat quickly, just so I can get an idea of where everybody is from, and then we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, so we've got quite a diverse group in that, from all over in that, and I hope you guys will get value out of this session today. So to start off with, and I'm going to start with what I call the 3 common personality types of business owners. Some of you may be familiar with this, some of you may not be familiar with it, but it sets the context of where we want to go in our discussion today. And I will start off with a very simple story in that, about a young girl who grows up baking pies with her grandmother, and she has fond memories of this with her grandmother when she grows up and becomes an adult. And any smell of a pie and all of those things just brings joy to her heart. So she starts working in a bakery making pies, and she makes such great pies that all her friends eventually tell her that she should actually go and open up her own bakery, which she duly does. 2 years later, she's the most miserable, unhappy pie maker out, and she hates the business she's got. And that is because all that's happened is she's traded being a technician in somebody else's business to being a technician in her own business. And she's starting her entrepreneurial journey, and she needs to move from being a technician to becoming a manager to being an entrepreneur. And that requires her to get a whole lot of skills. And what we're going to be doing today is looking at the technology component of the skills that you need to start familiarizing yourself with, because to be an entrepreneur, you can't just think in a box. When you work for a company, there's a tendency to stay in a box that is your box, and you don't do anything outside the box. When you're an entrepreneur, you don't have a box. So you need to develop all of these skills, be it business development, be it entrepreneurial skills, and to become familiar with different technologies and how they impact on your business. And that's what we're trying to actually achieve in today's discussion. So if you look at yourselves, where would you position yourselves in those 3 images? Are you a technician in your business? Do you see yourself as a manager? Or do you have a broad skill set as an entrepreneur requires to start, manage, and grow a business? And these are important things to understand where you are in that journey at this point in time. Secondly, what I want to touch on as well is the impact of technological changes during the different industrial revolutions. Some of us may be familiar with the different industrial revolutions, others may not. At the end of this presentation, you'll be able to get a PDF copy of it. There is a little bit more detail on it, but I'm not going to go into all the detail because I want to get to the practical stuff in what we're covering today. So over the course of history, mankind has perfected its industry by not only relying on technical revolution, but also by reinventing it as a new resources have created new technical means of doing things. And that's what our industrial revolution is about. We've seen that with the first, we've seen that with the second, we've seen that with the third, and we now find ourselves in the fourth industrial revolution. Any massive change that takes place in the way we do business is seen and recognized as a revolution in industry itself. And what it does, and you can see what I've put there, it says the Industrial Revolution is the name that historians have given to the period in history when there was a massive change. So if we look at the different industrial revolutions, the first one was brought about by water and steam, and that changed how we did industry. Steam and water became the source of power. It replaced human and animal power with machines. In the second industrial revolution, we saw the introduction of electricity and how this changed the way we do business. We saw the internal combustion engine come about. We saw aircraft, we saw telephones, cars, radios, and mass production come about. It changed the way we do business. In the third industrial revolution, we saw the aspect of automation come about, electronics, the introduction of the internet and information technology, and how this further automated mass production. And we now find ourselves in the so-called fourth revolution, which is cyber physical systems. And in that, we've seen driverless cars, we've seen smart robotics, we see materials that are lighter and tougher, and manufacturing processes built around 3D technology. And that's impacting the way we do business. Some of you may be familiar with an organization in America called Blockbusters. They used to have massive video chains across the whole of America, and they thought they would never go out of business until they had a frustrated customer who had enough of being fined every time he brought a video back late. And he then put together a platform which is now known as Netflix. He went to take it to them, they weren't interested, and he then launched it himself. And we all know what happened to Blockbuster videos. So it is important that in any business you adapt to the changes that are happening around you in the environment. And it is the same with the technology aspect of what we're going to be looking at today. So you can find a little bit more about this at the end of the presentation itself, and you can see in a little bit more detail what happened in each of those revolutions itself. In the third industrial revolution, we saw the introduction of the internet, and that changed the way we do business. And that we also saw cloud-based technology come to the fore in terms of systems and software platforms that we were able to utilize. So if we look at how did the internet impact on how we did business when it first arrived, understanding it was launched in the early 1990s, firstly, it changed how we actually communicate. Where you would have to go and drive out to somebody to meet or go and phone them, you were able to now communicate through the internet, via email, through other means. We saw how the internet allowed VoIP technology to come about in terms of telecommunication. We are able to now chat through things like WhatsApp and these other means way beyond just a sort of typical telephone setup. We saw how through the internet, different ways of marketing came about. So where you would normally advertise on a billboard or advertise on TV or radio, there were other opportunities which were introduced through the internet to be able to market your business, because now you had an audience which was way beyond just your typical market area that you would market your business into. We saw the rise of digital advertising. And we see how this constantly evolves and changes as new platforms come about, new technologies are launched, which people engage with, and it provides opportunities for different ways of engaging with your potential customer. We see the ability of businesses being able to collaborate together. We see the change in business models where you typically had a brick and mortar type business model before the launch of the internet. We saw hybridized models where you have both a brick and mortar and a digital presence. And we even see business models now where it's purely digital, where it's purely an online business. So the internet has had a huge impact in terms of how we do business. And it enables us to even research our competitors and what's happening in the market and things like that. So that was one of the first big impacts that has happened. If you look at some of the global trends at the moment that are impacting on how we do business, there's three primary ones that come to the fore. The first being cloud infrastructure. And this has changed the way that we are able to do business, where you would typically have software sitting on a server in your business and you couldn't do anything without going back to the office to generate an invoice or things like that. You now have cloud infrastructure, which has taken that sort of technology and it has made it available via the internet, accessible online. And the software sits in servers, in secure data centers, and it's changed the way especially small business is able to do business, which now puts them in a position where they're able to compete with big corporates. So if you look at the type of technology that we see, if I look back 10 years ago, when I first left corporate and wanted to bring cloud technology to the small business space, nothing really existed. And it has changed dramatically in the last 10 years. You've got technology that is now affordable, that is now set up where you don't have to go and pay huge sums of money to get the software. You pay a monthly amount or a quarterly or annual amount, and you get the best form of technology that is out there, the same type of stuff that sits with big corporates. There's huge financial benefits for small business and that as well. There's flexibility because you don't have to go and set up all the software. A lot of it comes already pre-configured, and all you have to do is customize it for your business and put your information in there and products and services and things like that. It's easy to use. All the time when we see new platforms come out, they're focused on user experience, simplicity of use, things like that. You see the security aspects being built into it the whole time because of user information and privacy regulations globally and things like that. And you can see how these platforms are preparing for the future. So it started with cloud infrastructure, but it's more than just that. And that is not just the only trend that is impacting how we do business. The introduction of cloud infrastructure, when it first started out, operated as silos, but as it developed, we started to find that platforms started to talk to each other. So we had what is called integration between different platforms. So your accounting system talks to your website, might talk to your CRM system, might talk to other platforms. And this then allows information to be passed from one system to the other without having to go and recapture that information, which opens itself up for error and all of those sort of things. So we see this has created the opportunity for what is called automation. So instead of you having to now go and push data through from one system to another, or go and download it out of one platform into a spreadsheet and upload it into another platform, the integration has brought about the opportunity for automation, whereby you can automate certain steps and processes, that data can move seamlessly between your e-commerce platform on a WordPress website into your accounting system or into a CRM where it captures contact information of a form on your website. And this has had a huge impact at the end of the day on any small business and how we do business, because it's improved efficiencies. It means we're able to respond quicker because we can automate email processes and that, as if somebody has automatically just sent out an email. It has increased productivity because now what we're able to do is free up our time to focus on other things rather than be caught in this manual process of having to do a lot of these things or move data between one platform and another. It's also boosted accuracy. You don't have the risk of error occurring between one platform and another. And it's allowed for easier collaboration and tracking of progress and changes because you have logs of what has changed and things like that between the different platforms. And it allows for a huge amount of flexibility. Some of the platforms have APIs, which then allow you to build out integrations if they don't exist. You even have tools like Zapier, for example, which allows integrations between platforms. So they act as an integration platform that builds these integrations between them. And then the third trend that is impacting on the way we do business is something called customer experience. Because it is becoming so competitive out there, building loyal and raving clients is so, so important in what we do. And treating non-sales customers, be it leads, as customers changes the way that people in business engage with our businesses at the end of the day. And if we don't have customers, we do not have a business. So how we treat them becomes vitally, vitally important. And in this world that becomes ever more technical, ever more rushed, ever more sort of speedy in terms of how we do things, customer experience and how we manage those customer relationships becomes so vitally important. And the last thing any of us want in our business is negative reviews. Before technology, before all these digital platforms, the only place you might find a negative review might be in the newspaper or magazine. Now, I mean, you can have a negative experience and 5 minutes later it can be sitting online and people see bad press about us. So we need to be able to manage those sort of things. And to do that, we have to manage our customer experience more and more every day now. If we don't take cognizance of those trends, we're not going to be able to understand how to actually utilize cloud-based technology and how to prepare ourselves for the so-called fourth industrial revolution that we find ourselves in, which we are well and truly in. We cannot say we are not in it. If you look at a platform called HubSpot, I'm a local partner in South Africa for HubSpot. HubSpot is a globally recognized CRM platform, but they focus on being a marketing, sales, and services platform, and they have what they call 3 growth stacks, which focus around those 3 areas. What they've made sure that their platform can do is integrate with any other platform that exists. So if you look at that picture, you'll see a lot of different software platforms that are online, which they integrate to, and there's over 200 of them on that picture, and that is growing constantly as platforms come online and things like that. But the integration aspect is vitally important because you want to focus on the important things, which is to market, sell, and service your customer and nurture those customers. You don't want to lose customers. At the end of the day, it costs a lot more money to go and get a customer than to keep one. So it's important that when we get customers on board, for the money that we spend to get them on board, we keep them, we nurture them, we manage our relationship with them, and we make sure that they become advocates for our business at the end of the day as well. That is so, so vitally important. But we can only do that if we nurture them. And the only way to do that effectively nowadays is through technology. Everybody spends their time on their mobile phones. Everybody's now looking at their mobile phone all day long because that is now their entertainment. Mobile phones are actually replacing television from entertainment. We all sit and we watch videos on Facebook or on YouTube or watch Netflix for our latest movie or series or whatever the case. So you want to be able to engage with them where they constantly have their eyes fixated on, and that is on their devices at the end of the day. But to do that, we need to become familiar with the technology landscape and that is out there. And what I've done in my business in terms of how I deal with customers, I've put together what I call my own technology ecosystem, which I utilize in my own business, but which I also then take to customers as we work and develop the customer platform. So you'll see a lot of that is built around HubSpot because we use HubSpot at the end of the day as a central point to manage every point of contact with our customers. So it is very, very important that you have full visibility of how you engage with your customers, the nature of the engagement, what they've seen, where they're engaging with your platforms at the end of the day. And HubSpot's provides the tools to be able to do that. If you look at this picture that is in front of you, you'll see a whole lot of different logos of companies. Some may be familiar, some may not be familiar, but I will go through them as we look at this picture and give you an understanding of what is there, and you'll see how that leads into the practical part of what we're looking at. So what I've done here is try and look at the type of technologies that any business would require, whether you're a service-based business or whether you are a product-based business or both. Whether you're online or whether you've got a brick and mortar or a hybrid type business, there are certain things that you're going to need. So starting right at the top there, you're going to need some sort of system to be able to manage your customer interactions. That does not operate as a standalone system. It needs to be able to integrate with all of your different platforms. And HubSpot is a very good solution in the marketplace. It's not the only solution. There are a lot of other solutions, but it is the solution that I recommend and utilize with a lot of our customers. And I know Bridge for Billions is also a HubSpot partner and that as well. If you then look to the left of that on your screen, you'll see an image of a platform called Tidy. You'll see an image of a platform called PaySpace, a platform called Xero, and a platform called Receipt Bank. So these are all business type systems that are available globally or in Africa or places like that. There'll be other systems in that in your different territories, which allow you to put into place business systems that work in the cloud. So if you look at Xero, for example, Xero is an online accounting platform. It is highly recognized. They're entrepreneurial by nature in terms of where they focus their attention on small business. And that allows you to integrate with your web platforms. It allows you to integrate with HubSpot. And you cannot have a business without an accounting system at the end of the day. And this provides you with an accounting system that you have full mobility of. You have apps on your phone for it, and whoever manages and supports you from an accounting perspective is able to access that remotely online as well. You then have platforms like Tidy, and there's a number of those others that integrate with the likes of HubSpot that provide manufacturing ability into your accounting system. You have payroll and HR platforms like PaySpace, which integrate into your accounting system. And you have platforms like Receipt Bank, for example, which allow you to take pictures of your slips when you're out doing business, and all those automatically get processed into your accounting system. So the nature of the technology is evolving such that all of these systems talk to each other. Now that is great, but we need to have a presence online. So you'll see to the left of that like Amazon does globally, but we have platforms common on integrates into the WordPress platform, which is a content management system. You have Joomla, which is a content management system. You have tools that allow you to create online memberships platforms and create revenue streams through your website. You have tools like Joomla LMS and LearnDash, which allow you to create online learning platforms and monetize courses and things like that as you build out different business models through your website. Now, those can't operate on their own without having payment gateways. So you'll see things like PayPal there. You'll see things like PayFast, which are online payment gateways. You'll see things like Yoko, which are point of sale systems. And you'll see a platform like AppPresser, which allows you to build out a mobile app for your business and integrate that into your website and manage that from the back end of your website. So these are all tools which are available, which are important tools to give consideration for in your business, in whatever type of business you're doing, whether you're selling products, services, or both. And we'll look at how we approach that in a moment in that. Now, all of those tools are great, but if nobody knows about our business, that's not going to help us anything. So it is important that we have more than just a website. We need to create an online presence. And that's where platforms like Facebook Google with a Google listing, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, all of these other platforms become vitally important. It doesn't mean each and every platform is applicable for your business. You need to understand the different platforms, the audiences that are on there, and choose the correct platform to be able to then target those audiences through the marketing opportunities that those platforms provide. And it's important to understand how to market through these platforms and that you're familiar with it. The ability to market through these platforms is becoming more and more complex as time goes on. And that's part of why I've actually launched a digital marketing agency for small businesses to assist them with this, because it's just becoming so complex. But as a business owner, it's important that you have a basic understanding of the different platforms and how to utilize them to actually market your business. And if you do get somebody to assist you, that you get somebody who is familiar and has the expertise to be able to do that. So that is vitally important. You will also see that the primary source of digital content that comes up, where everything is moving towards, is video content. That is the content which is the most consumed by each and every user online. And whatever you then do from a marketing perspective, you need to look at making sure that you try and use video content as much as possible, be it on your website, be it on a YouTube channel, be it in your marketing that you do as well. And look at how you can use it and what are the different ways that you can use it. And it's becoming easier and easier with some of the tools that are out there to actually create short promo videos or explainer videos and that for your website and your products and services at the end of the day. You'll also see two platforms to the right of HubSpot Connect at the top. One is called Zoom. You'll be familiar with that. We're on the Zoom platform at the moment for meetings and that. And then you have platforms like Workcast, and I know Zoom has a webinar platform as well, which allow you to create webinars. And webinars are a very useful tool to be able to effectively market your business, market your product and service, and move somebody from being unaware to a point of action by the end of your webinar, especially where you need to educate a customer in that space at the end of the day. Now, all of those things are great, but if you do not have a means of measuring them, you're not going to be able to manage your key performance indicators and things like that. And that's where a tool like Clipfolio becomes very important, in the sense that you are able to draw data out of a whole range of different platforms and create what we call business intelligence dashboards, so that you're able to look at the key performance indicators in your business and monitor what is important for each and every aspect of your business, from your marketing to your financial to production, whatever it is that you need to be able to monitor. And these are important things. And if you look at what I've summarized there, and I'll go on to the next slide and that, this is a very good summary of the type of stuff that you need to be looking at in your business itself. You need to look at business systems, so your accounting, your production systems, your HR and payroll. You need to look at your productivity solutions. So what are you using to be able to be productive? Your office tools, your Gmail, what manages your email, things like that. Your chatbots, utilizing Dropbox, WhatsApp for communications. Do you use voice over IP technology to save costs and things like that? These are very important things to look at. Look at what sort of tools you're using as well to be able to manage different aspects of your business, whether it's understanding the gaps in your business in terms of maybe a due diligence tool, your business development needs, or your business intelligence type stuff in terms of managing the results that are coming out of your business, be it from your marketing campaigns or your financial type stuff as well. The video solutions are things that are important to look at as well. Your website development, whether you can utilize e-commerce in it, in terms of your business. Do you have products and services that you can provide through a business platform rather than just having a digital profile online? And then also look at your mobile apps. Very important. Mobile apps allow you to secure a space on a person's digital device with an icon. Okay, very, very important. People want to engage, and you can engage through a mobile app differently to the way you engage through a mobile website that is responsive from your main website itself. If you're going to have an e-commerce type platform, as I said, you need to be able to engage in e-commerce. So you need to be able to take payments and things like that. And you need to have a social media platform. You need to be able to do digital marketing and understand the marketing space. And you need to have a business platform by which you can do that if you are looking at things like e-learning or membership or things like that. So these are the type of things you need to start familiarizing yourself with. So how do we go about putting these things in place? If those are the type of things that we need to be looking at from a technology point of view, how do we start to put these things in place? And we need to start thinking about what we call a business development roadmap. So my question to you is, do you know where you need to take your business growth? Are you able to articulate that? Do you understand the steps you need to take? Or are you like a lot of the customers that I find who understand where they want to get to, but they find themselves paralyzed where they're at because they don't know how to get there? And a business development roadmap is very, very important to be able to do that. What it does is it articulates the steps that you need to take to get to your destination, your end goal. It articulates the business systems, the business processes, the business platforms, and the type of marketing solutions that you're going to put into place to be able to achieve that and grow the business at the end of the day. So first step in that process to develop a business development roadmap is you need to set your destination. Define your goals. Where do you want to get to? Okay, and break those goals down into subtasks. So at a very high level, start out with the primary steps in that process, and then see how you can break that down into specific type goals that are measurable to achieve that step by step. The second thing is to identify what are the means of measuring. So how are you going to measure progress on that development roadmap? So if your goal is to become a $1 million company in 2 years, what are the steps to get there? It's not just about the money. There's things that you need to put in place to achieve that, and how you're going to monitor and measure those things. So those are your KPIs. The third thing that you need to look at doing is your business systems. What type of systems do you need to put into place, and platforms? And we've just covered a whole range of things covering different aspects of the platforms and technologies that are there. And these give you an idea of the type of systems that you need to put into place. Systems alone are not going to help you do the type of automation that is required, that we spoke of around those trends that are happening. So you need to be able to build out business processes. You need to define how things happen in your business. What happens when somebody fills in a form on your website? What happens to the information in that form? Does it just sit in your website, or does it come through to you on an email? Or does it go into a CRM, which then adds them to a mailing list and triggers a series of emails to engage with them? You need to map out those processes so that you can build those into the platforms. You need to link processes to employee roles. So if you're saying, well, this specific step needs to be done by such and such a person, you need to then link it to their role so that it becomes part of a job description and the tasks that they need to do. Because the biggest way to actually create value for a business is to systematize it. And what you're doing by building out processes and automations therein is to start building out your systems that will create value. Because the more you can do that, the easier it is for you to actually manage your business and to grow your business. The sixth point, you need to define who is your ideal customer. What do they look like? Build out your customer personas. You'll see this in the whole Bridge for Billions platform that we're going through. You'll be dealing with these sort of aspects in that. So this is very, very important, because if you don't understand who your ideal customer is, how do you understand your marketing and how to target the right people in your marketing? So that's vitally important. You need to build a go-to-market strategy. So what are your channels to market? How are you going to get it to market? Is it in person? Is it through digital platforms? Is it a combination? And you need to define your sales process. So once again, what does that look like? Does it have a sales funnel? What does the nurturing look like once you've sold a product or a service to a customer? And how do you keep them on board? How do you get more value out of them? How do you sell them additional products and services? Very, very important at the end of the day. You also need to develop a tactical plan to execute your strategy. So once you understand what your strategy is, it's no good just having it on a piece of paper. You need to execute it. So you want to break it down maybe into phases or steps. So the first phase would in all likelihood be to get your business platforms in place. You can't start marketing until you have a website. You can't start marketing a product if it requires manufacturing. So you need to define what happens when, and that is part of your execution strategy. And you need to define the technologies and the resources that are going to enable you to do that. And once again, you need to be able to then measure these things. And the measurement is important through business intelligence dashboards and that, because otherwise, how do you know if you're achieving what you've set out to do? Are you going to achieve that $1 million target in a year or two's time? Or is that only 5 years from now because you're not achieving the targets you've set out to do? And if you don't measure, you can't address problems at the end of the day and improve on where there are weaknesses in your process or your system. So developing that roadmap is important. Okay. Over and above that, and you'll see it towards the end of those points, in order to scale your business effectively, you need to build out a technology stack. So we've looked at a whole lot of technologies that are there that I utilize and I recommend to a lot of customers that we build business development roadmaps for. And we normally start with the website or their platforms. Once we have those things in place, we will then start to build out the marketing systems and the measuring platforms in that. Okay, and this is vitally important, because if you don't build out a technology stack for your business, you are going to become irrelevant and you're not going to be competitive. So the technology stack enables you to be relevant to your audience, and it allows you to be competitive. You're able to compete against your customers. If all your customers are building out, your competition is building out technology stacks and you aren't, you're going to be out of business. So it's important to be able to look at that and put the right things in place. Secondly, if you don't do that, you're going to miss out on the opportunities that exist. If a lot of your customers sit in the digital space, you need to be familiar with it. The fourth industrial revolution is impacting how we do business, and where traditionally you would market to somebody in person, the technology space has changed the whole ballgame as to how we market. Everybody's on their phones, everybody's on their mobile devices. TV advertising, radio advertising is an expensive means of advertising and generating leads. So you need to look at how you can utilize that. Okay, you want your team to feel valued and connected. Technology enables that to happen. So if you're working with a business setup where you're working in a virtual office space and you have remote workers, or you have a distributed workforce, and that technology enables you to actually come together through an online meeting, exactly like we're doing today from across the world. Very, very important. You need to look at your working environment and how that fits into this whole space as well, and how you can use cloud technology to do that, because now your platform sits in a server in a secure data center, which your whole workforce can access. Okay. And one of the other things that is very, very important is your clients want speed and they want cost benefits. So the beauty of this sort of technology is you can go and sit, you can have a meeting, or you can do a call with a customer and you can get their buy-in. Yes, we'd like to do business with you. You can go and give them a quote or an invoice before you even leave the office. That has changed the way we do business. Whereas before we'd have to go back to our office, drop them an email with a quote or an invoice. It's back and forth and everything to get agreement. And eventually we get their buy-in and they make payment. So it's changed dramatically the way that we do business and we engage with customers. It also allows us to collaborate. So for example, if you're looking at How do you put an idea together, or you're building out a business model and you're sitting with a dispersed team? These platforms allow you to have whiteboard type technology where you can collaborate, or you can work on ideas together, or projects together, and things like that. Okay, and it allows you to also operate your business on a low cost base. I run a consulting business. I work from home. I have a virtual business in Johannesburg where I have my office. I have a receptionist there, but I run it from a low cost base. And the technology enables you to do exactly that. And it also allows you to operate anywhere in the world. Here I'm sitting in South Africa engaging with each of you from across the world. And this is the beauty of what cloud-based technology allows you to do, and technology stacks allow you to do. Because instead of just having them come into a virtual meeting room, which is a Zoom meeting room, you can even take Zoom and create your own virtual meeting room. So you can make that customer experience more enhanced through a lot of these platforms and things like that. So as we look at this, it's important that you then start to understand and look at it from a framework perspective. So a technology framework is going to allow you to achieve a couple of things. Firstly, it's going to create a highly efficient and productive team, because you're going to have platforms that are able to integrate with each other, talk to each other, move data between the different platforms, and change the way that you do business if you aren't operating in this space and using cloud-based technology in that. It's also going to allow you to deliver a more consistent and beautiful customer experience. It's all about the customer experience. And if the competition is using platforms that enhance customer experience and you don't, who are the customers going to go to? The technology also enables you to be fast in terms of how you deliver products and services. It allows you to be informed, and it allows you to make quicker decisions at the end of the day because you've got the information at hand. You don't have to wait for somebody to process it or things like that. Information is tantamount to live information. And it increases your agility, your profitability, and your scalability at the end of the day. So this slide basically gives you a framework of how you can actually approach it in terms of building out a technology stack for your business. And it looks at it from 5 different perspectives. So firstly, around the infrastructure side of things, which is your starting point, because you can't have BI and the rest if you don't have infrastructure. You then need to look at your customer relationship management side of things. You need to look at your service delivery side of things, and you need to look at your support services and how these operate, and what are the tools you need to be able to deliver in each of these blocks. And then you need to look at business intelligence, which is the measurement side of all of these things that we do. So if we look at it from an infrastructure stack, okay, these are the essential platforms that any business requires to do business. So it might be your accounting system, it might be a manufacturing system, it might be a production system, whatever it is that you need to be able to do business, these are important. And these need to be able to communicate with a lot of the other systems and that as well. So first and foremost, what are the systems that you need? Secondly, you need a CRM, very, very important. You need to find a CRM that doesn't just take your contact information, but it allows you to engage with your customer from a marketing, a sales, and a service perspective. You need to look at a service delivery stack. So how does your service happen? What are the things that are needed to be able to deliver that service? Be it in a real world, be it the vehicles and things like that, but what are the supporting infrastructure that you need to be able to support a team that maybe goes out, or a support desk that takes a call? What does that look like, and how does that relate to your customer experience at the end of the day? You need to look at your supporting services stack. So how do you make sure that you don't drown in red tape, your HR, your accounting systems and things like that? How do they enhance your business? Very, very important. Are you able to go to a customer and invoice a customer when you meet them, or do you have to come back to the office to do that? And then lastly, on top of all of that is the ability to measure, but measure across all of your systems. It's no good you just measuring in your accounting system or your marketing system. You need to have a holistic view of your business and all the different things in it so that you can get it to operate like a well-oiled machine at the end of the day. So in doing that and building out your growth stack, you need to look at tools, most importantly, that integrate with each other. There are a lot of good tools out there, but when you look at the tools, look at them from an integration perspective. How do they integrate with each other? And if you go back to that slide that I showed you with all the tools that I utilize, all of those tools are able to talk to each other. Very, very important, because it makes my life easier. When I recommend it and implement it for a customer, it makes their life easier at the end of the day, because they can focus on their core business, which is selling their product or service and managing those customer relationships. You don't want to use tools that or silo-based tools that stand alone and you've got to download data or do a CSV export and import it into another system. You want the systems to be able to talk to each other. So vitally, vitally important. So if we look at this slide, what I've tried to do here for you is give you a setup where you can look under each of those blocks in that framework and assess what you have in place or not. So you're able to identify from an infrastructure point of view, okay, you're going to need, for example, email, calendar, and productivity type functionality. What platform gives you that? And does it integrate? You need to look at where do you store your files? Is it on your laptop? What happens if your laptop gets stolen? Is it in the cloud? Can you access it from anywhere? What platform do you use for that? You need to look at an integration service if you're using platforms that don't integrate with each other, but integrate with an integration service which acts as a bridge between the two platforms to connect them. What do you use for that? I made mention of Zapier is one of the prominent tools for that. And you need to look at standard operating procedures. That's the processes that I spoke about earlier. How do you do things in your business? What are the steps? Does everybody know your standard operating procedures? Very, very important. If you have those mapped out in a process, then you will be able to start systematizing them and start automating those steps through technology. If you look at it, then the next level is the customer relationship management side of things. There you need to be able to do email marketing automation. So what platforms do you utilize for that? What is the reporting that comes out of that? Because it's no good you utilize it if you can't get and measure the results out of it. So you need to look at that, and can it be integrated and automated? Does it manage your sales and relationship management side of things? Can you do proposals through it? Or do you have to do this all manually? Can you send a proposal to somebody and see when they've opened it? Can the customer sign it electronically? Or do you have to go there and get them to sign it manually? And are you able to get customer feedback? Because customer feedback speaks directly to your customer relationship aspect again. Very, very important. And what do you then do with that customer feedback? Do you utilize it to improve your service, your sales, and your marketing processes? Very, very important. Okay, next thing, you need to look at service delivery. Okay, so what is entailed in service delivery? What are the tasks and opportunities for collaboration? How can your team learn through that stuff? When you're looking at projects, so as you're developing things in your business, how do you manage the development process? Maybe you've got a new product or service you want to launch, or a new offering. Do you manage that from a project process and that? And do you have tools to be able to do that? Do you manage time and expenses in your business? And what tools do you use to do that? If you have to bill for it for time, or you've got staff who are out on the road and they incur expenses, how do you get that into the system? Do they have to manually complete Excel spreadsheets, or can they take a photo with a mobile app on their phone like with Xero, and it automatically pushes it into the accounting system for allocation and things like that? What about resource planning if you're manufacturing? Do you know what sort of resources that you need? Are you able to make sure that you have product or raw materials on the floor to be able to produce goods? Or do you sit with a whole lot of orders that you can't produce because you don't have enough material, or your production time is too long to produce it and you haven't planned? And what does your customer support look like? Those are all service delivery type functions, very, very important. And then you have your supporting services, because you cannot run a business without having your supporting services. So what does your accounting look like? What does your payroll look like? Does that integrate with your human resources? Can somebody get a pay slip on their mobile phone? Can they submit their leave application on a mobile phone or their computer, or do they have to still fill in manual forms? How do you bill customers? Are customers able to access their customer account online? Can they get an invoice with a pay now button on to go and do payment, so that you can encourage early payment or things like that? And what does that culture and engagement look like of your supporting services? Do each of these departments in your business work in isolation, or do they all understand their role in the bigger picture to be able to achieve your end goal, which is to start, manage, and grow a business? Very, very important. And then lastly is the business intelligence side of things, that very, very top stack. So what does a KPI dashboard look like? And what are the key performance indicators that you want to be able to measure from a financial point of view, from a marketing point of view? I mean, one of the things that I find with a lot of the marketing agencies is they don't know how to do return on investment. One of the biggest things I was shocked about when I started building the digital marketing agency was the top 10 agencies in South Africa, only 2 had something called a Facebook pixel on their own website. And yet they're doing digital marketing for customers. So it's important that you're familiar with all of these sort of things. And you can take that document that is there, and I'm going to be making a simple spreadsheet of those 3 slides available for you guys to download, that you can then take and apply to your own business and look at the things that you need to be able to build out that framework, which we had a look at a little bit earlier at the end of the day. So that is vitally, vitally important. And if you're able to do these sort of things and you start to look at how you can utilize technology in your business, you're going to be moving very, very quickly in terms of being able to better manage your business and to be able to grow your business. Very, very important at the end of the day. Okay, I think we are at the end of it. Yes, we are. I wanted to make sure we could get through that, so we've got a bit of time for some Q&A at the end and that now. So as I said, these slides are going to be made available, and that Afia has a PDF copy of this, and I know this has been recorded, so the video will be made available as well. I will send her a PDF of those slides that had that matrix on, so that you've got a document you can fill in on an Excel spreadsheet and that, and you can then start looking at how you utilize technology to be able to start and manage your business and to grow it. That's what we all want to achieve at the end of the day. So I'm going to hand back to Afia now, so that she can ask questions and answers, and we can have a look at any of those that are there. Afia, back to you.
Yes, thank you so much. This is so helpful. I feel like we could do a whole session just on the technology stack, on the business development roadmap. It's so much detailed information. Thank you so much, Alistair, for sharing. We have very little time because we have a checkpoint starting soon. So we'll take the questions very quickly. I think Carlos had a question about what business intelligence platform would you recommend?
Okay, am I still on audio? Okay, yes. So when I built out that that one slide where you saw the sort of abbreviated one with HubSpot Connect, okay, that was that first one that we looked at. Those are all the platforms that I utilize in my own business and I recommend to customers. So I'm a partner with a lot of those cloud-based technology providers. The platform that I would recommend for business intelligence is a platform called Clipfolio. They're able to integrate with a whole lot of systems, as well as with Google spreadsheets and things like that. And I've looked at a lot of them that are out there. So each of those platforms that you saw on that, there is best of breed. And I would recommend Clipfolio.
Thank you so much. I think Jose had a couple of questions. maybe Jose, do you want to ask? It will be good to hear your voices. So if you want, you can go ahead. And Gloria, anyone who has questions, you can just go ahead and ask. Okay, I can ask Gloria's question.
On the chat, Afia, did anybody ask questions on the chat?
Yes, so Gloria is asking, would you recommend an LSM that integrates with other systems?
Okay, LSM, LSM, make sure I understand it.
Learning management system.
Okay, learning management system. Okay, so you'll see on that slide that I spoke of, I work with two systems. One is Joomla LMS, so that is on the Joomla content management system. And then I use a platform called LearnDash on the WordPress platform. So I use LearnDash to build out e-learning platforms, and I also build out what they call CPD platforms. So that's for continuous professional development. I'm working on a number of projects for that, and there's tools that integrate with the learning management platform that works in WordPress.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Jose is asking customer demand versus customer tyranny. How can we differentiate each one?
Okay, customer demand versus customer journey. Okay.
Tyranny.
Customer tyranny.
Yes.
Okay. Help me understand what he means by customer tyranny.
Jose, do you want to talk?
Okay, Alistair. The issue is that in many cases the customer think that is the king, and he can use like tyranny his influence. Yeah, but in some cases it's not a demand, really a demand from the market, from customers.
Correct.
And I think in my opinion it's important to differentiate what a demand is, what is an opinion for customer. Yeah.
Correct. So if we look at one of the areas where I focus a lot of attention from a business development point of view. So I focus on three areas: business development, entrepreneurial skills development, and building our technology stacks. And one of the things that I look at and I place a lot of importance on is the business model canvas. And it's one of the digital models that you deal with in the Bridge for Billions incubation program. One of the things that you do right very early on in that process is defining the value proposition, which is simply a need that you're fulfilling or a problem that you're solving. And most often when I ask entrepreneurs this, they look at me with a very blank picture because they have no understanding of it. If you can understand that properly and you define your product and your channel to market and how you market, you then have the ability to define the type of customers you want to work with. And if you manage that relationship properly, you can actually find the right customers to work with at the end of the day. And I think it also comes down to the type of product or service that you're going to look at. If you can position yourself in a very niche space, whether it's a product that you provide or a service, or you're a knowledge-based business or whatever it is, position yourself where there's few competitors. If you're positioning yourself in a space where there's a lot of competitors, you will be seen just as a commodity because it's easy for them to move from one to another. And I think that's where we'll experience maybe a bit of what you're talking about. But if you can position whatever it is you're going to be doing in a space where there's opportunity for growth, what is the stage of that market in terms of the growth cycle? Is it a new market? Is it an established market? Is it a dying market? Very, very important, because that'll also determine the type of customer experience that you're going to have at the end of the day with your customers. So the business model becomes vitally, vitally important in understanding those customer segments. If I recall in that first module, there's that positioning map under the value proposition. That speaks a lot to it, because you could easily land up looking at the wrong opportunities and land up with customers that are what you would call a tyranny customer instead of a good value customer. So getting your market positioning right and the value proposition right and what products you're going to take to what market and what type of customers is so, so important. I don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you, Alistair. Thank you. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Alistair. Jose says thank you for your excellent masterclass. Yeah, Rafa says thank you very much. So
sorry if I had to race through it. There was a lot of information to get to, but please go through it. There are slides at the end which I didn't even touch, which you can read through and that.
Yeah, so I'll share the slides in the community and then you can take your time to go through, and any other templates or resources Alistair shares with us. So thank you for joining us today, everyone. We look forward to having you next week when we have another interesting masterclass. So have a great
Thank you for your time, everybody.
Thank you so much. Good day.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Afia, are we going to connect now quickly? Have you got time still to connect?
I have to. I'd love to connect, but maybe on a Meet, on a Google link, because we have a checkpoint. So
that's
I
fine.
think I have to log out.
Touch base with me maybe tomorrow, and then we can do a post-mortem of the webinar and all of that.
Sure, we can do that. I'll send you a link. Maybe, yes, I'll send you a link and then we can have a chat tomorrow. Thank you so much, but it was really great. It was really detailed information, and yeah, thanks for sharing so much.
It felt like I was racing through it, so I hope I got the message across. There's so much to cover because it's such a broad topic and all of that.
Yeah, so, I could see that. It's a really big topic. Yes.
Okay. No, brilliant.
So have a good evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Afia.
Bye.